Welcome back to a bit Gamey and Mars Recon Patrol Part 2. On my 3-foot square table, I did a 3x3 tiles for generating the terrain and such. But I say the second one I wanted to do 4x4, 9-inch square tiles. So 16 of them in all, in a 4x4 row. Just see how that worked out. So rolling the dice, it was 2 to 8 for field, 9-10 for woods, 11 is a building, and 12 is a marsh. The road was 2 and 2, so starting there in one straight line. The river was 2 and 1, so coming across there to there, bridge there, and 3 woods, those 2 there, and that one there. So that was pretty straightforward. Next step was the objectives. Rolling a 20-sided die, because there's 16 squares now. 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12, 13 to 16. So you roll a 20-sided dice for your objectives, and they came. And if you roll 17 plus, then that's you can move one. So it's objectives there, and also there, and I got one roll at over 16, so I just moved that one to the bridge. So it's very straightforward objectives, straight down the line. So yes, that's the generation of the terrain. Another thing I decided at the time was in places where the river goes, where there's a field and the river, change that from field to meadow, and then you have a roll for if it's marshy as well. So basically saying in the spring or autumn, tiles which are river and field, which are those 3 there. So if it's spring or autumn, then 1 or 2 they're marshy or soft ground basically, and in the summer it's a 1 and they're marshy. So those 3 became meadows. That didn't really count because it's got the bridge. I suppose I could have done it. I could have done it around the bridge as well, but anyway, whatever. Blah blah blah. So that was a layout of the terrain, and the objectives for the Recon Patrol were straight down that line. Yeah, so I'm very happy with that, with the 4x4. The other thing I wanted to change was because I want to make it as random as possible, because it's really for solo games, or not necessarily solo games, but in my case it's solo games, and you want to make it as different. Each one you want to make them as different as possible, and so a lot of randomness. And so I wanted a situation where there's a special event happens, which could be reinforcements or planes or whatever else, and trying to decide on the sequence. My first thought was, you do it in turns. So you have a German turn, the Polish turn, and then you roll for a random event. And the other option I'm thinking of is doing something more like what's it called? Sharp practice. I think it's sharp practice, where you turn cards over, and randomly the turns will end on the when you get these special event cards. So I was thinking of using something like get a general pack of cards and have like ace to 10. Red is one side, black is the other side. On ace to 10, they get to move a unit, and a crown card, Jack, Queen, King. A red version would be a special event that benefits one side, and the black roll cards would be benefit the other. And it could be something like reinforcements or some kind of off-table fire. So it could be direct fire, like a anti-tank gun or whatever, or indirect fire, and or planes. That's going to be. So it could be something like 1 or 2 is reinforcement, 3 and 4 is indirect, 5 is direct fire off table, 6 is a plane, something like that. Because basically, you want enough of these special events to make it really random, but not so much that it's happening all the time. So that's the kind of plan. The current plan is to use the just do turns. You know, German turn, Polish turn, special event. But I think I'll look into thinking about changing it to a card-driven system. And the idea, and also the idea, I haven't said on the number of turns, but it should be about. There's two ways to do it. I've got in mind. One is that you have these three objectives, and the attacker has to get those three objectives in 6 turns or 8 turns or whatever. And the other version is to make it chain linked. You know, you've got your Recon Patrol, and you see how far you can get. Like on the first one, you do so and so, and then in the subsequent ones, you do another table. Basically, you do another table past this one, and and see how long you can get before you run out of armoured cars. So the first thing is got some little markers at the kind of 9-inch point that kind of divide it into little tiles. And that's just for setting up your terrain. So a bit of shaky cam for the layout. Road going straight down, crossing the river. There's some woods in the middle left too, and another one on the right there. The fields. So you start off with these. So shaky again with these little things here, sort of showing the points where the 16 tiles, the corners of the 16 tiles. You can see from here that the other ones are. So once you've laid it all out, you can get rid of those. The objectives were one was on there, one was at the end. It's all straight down the road, and one was on there. I rolled so I'm rolling a 20-sided dice for the objectives, but if I get above 16, I'll go through can move one. So that's a bit of a lame one. Put that over there. So it's basically all down the road, basically. The other thing I thought while I was doing this was, so I got 6, 8, was it 9 fields. Oh, yeah, because I was rolling, let's say 2 to 8 for fields and 9, 10 for woods, 11 marsh, 12 building, and I think what I'll do in the future is when there's a field, when there's a river or stream going through a field, I'll change it to meadow, which doesn't actually mean anything except then throw for whether it's muddy as well, or marshy. It's in the summer a 1 and it's marshy, and in the spring it'll be 1. Spring and autumn it'll be 1 and 2. So those 3 on the top right could possibly be marshy. So I could do that now. Assuming it's spring when it starts. 5, 3, 5. No, so they'll just be like meadows, just empty fields. Yeah. So I've got no trees, so I just mark out the forest with those boundaries, with those hedges, with a few little single bits in the middle. I'll get some trees eventually, but I'm kind of undecided about how kind of fancy I'm going to make them. You get really kind of plain plastic trees or really pretty ones. So that's a future project. So you say the big difference between this and the last time is before I was doing 3x3 tiles, 1 foot each, and now it's 4x4 at 9 inches each, which I think is a definite improvement. I have to mess around some more with the placement in terms of what you get and what you in terms of different terrain features. But I'm liking it so far. It's pretty good. So the attacker, Germans in this case, comes along on the road, just one of their 4 armour cars, and they spot. Originally, I said that they were just spotting the adjacent hexes or tiles, but I'm going to change that now to if it's a field, if it's a flat terrain, then that doesn't count. So it's like 0, 1. So basically, they can spot all those 4, and the way ahead, those 2 up to the bridge, spotted, they're fine as well. That one and that one in the wood adjacent diagonally, and so that would leave on that one as well, because it's bosh for spotting. And when you roll for spotting, you spot any units that happen to be on that tile, which I'd already done before, because I messed this up. And what they rolled for with the enemy units was 3 sections of infantry. And I say in the my long-term plan for this is it's mostly going to be company or battalion scale, but in this case, purely because I like the KFZs, I'm doing it as a platoon scale. 1, 2, 3, where it's 3 bases, 3 guys and an NCO. And what I rolled when I was doing it was 3 sections, and the my special rule is if you get multiple sections, then you get an officer as well. So basically, you've got a whole platoon. Can you see any of that? There in the first lot of woods and along the road. And then you roll for whether they're retreating, setting up a defensive position, or attacking. Which I say these guys are all retreating. So that was the German turn was moving on to there and do the swatting, and the Polish turn was moving up into cover. Again, I'm sort of like undecided yet about moving and firing, whether they could do both or just do one or the other. So I'm saying that's the Polish turn, and so yes, so that's the general situation. So they can spot 2 tiles if they're both clear, 1 tile into if they're adjacent to it. So that's rather unfortunate situations for the Germans. They're kind of got these woods right next to the road. Because the general thing I'm having in this game is that infantry can do something to armoured vehicles from 1 square away. To do with anti-tank grenades or anti-tank rifles or something. They have something. If the vehicle is in rough terrain, but with the infantry it's bad, and they can have a slight chance of doing something 1 tile away. So that's the general gist. And then you say the big thing of this was trying to think about the random events. So that worked okay. I was quite pleased with that. And in terms of what comes next, so that was experiment number 2 with this Recon Patrol game. List of things that need to be done. Update the rules. I'll put the rules in the comment section. I mean, it doesn't necessarily, it won't matter that much, because I'll probably use different rules for the actual fighting bits. The main bits relevant is going to be the terrain selection and the random events. But I'll write them down anyway, just so I can remember for when I do it again, because it's quicker if blah blah blah. So I'll update the rules and write them in the comment section. In terms of what's next, stuff I need to get. I also kind of gunnery markers like smoke. Because I'm going to change the gunnery so that when they lay down a barrage, it goes for 3 turns. So I'm going to lay down some kind of markers, so that 3 kind of smoke markers, and then they'll remove 1 each time they fire. Pinned markers. I'm not entirely sure about this, but so markers for when you've got light armor that's been hit with stuff that doesn't harm them but might scare them, so they don't move forward. I'm generally using the pin by just removing bases from an infantry to represent a sort of morale effect. But I say, got these situations where the kind of armoured cars getting pinged, and I wonder if you need to have some kind of marker for that. Not sure exactly. Need a turn marker, obviously, because I keep forgetting the turn. Aircraft models. I was going to get. I think it gave me the idea for the aircraft for these 144 kind of Zvezda models. They're quite dinky, and so they won't take up as much space on the table, but they'll just represent what planes are available or around. So there's a Stuka, a spotter, and a fighter for the Germans, and a fighter for the Poles. There isn't a Polish fighter per se, but I'll use something else. Because one of the things with this is generally it's early war stuff. I mean, it was originally going to be Germans versus British, then gradually became Germans versus British and French, and now it's British, French, and Poles. So I'm going to mix them all. I'm going to mash them all up. I will eventually aim to get armies for all 3, but in the meantime I'll just mash up. So I've got an anti-tank gun for the British, and so I'll use that as an anti-tank gun for the Poles. But anyway, blah blah blah. Main point: the aircraft models, I'm going to get them from Zvezda, and I'm going to get a mishmash of other stuff that's needed. Like, so for the Poles, they need heavy machine guns. The infantry I'm using at the moment are French. They got some heavy machine guns, so that's done. There's no mortar, so I've got a British mortar that I haven't painted yet, so I'm going to do that. Anti-tank rifles. I think I've got a British one. Anti-tank gun. I've already got a British one for that, so that's done. Field gun. I might try and get one of the first to fight. Or I don't know where I get some of the metal ones. So I don't need an anti-tank gun, but I might get one anyway. Same with a field gun. Some kind of artillery thing. It could be British or French or Polish, but I'll get one of them. Polish armour car, tankette or tank. And the Polish had a bunch of French ones, so I could get them. I mean, unlikely to get. Depending on how I play it, it could end up easily having some tanks involved. And I got a couple of British Vickers Mark 1, I think, with the machine guns, so I can use them for now. But because I'm tempted to get all the, so I like all the early war armour because they're kind of weird and fun looking. So I might get some Polish tanks or Polish slash French tanks. I've got most of the German stuff I need except push bikes and cavalry. It's kind of dumb because I don't really need them, because I could just, as reinforcements, I could just bring them on, assume that they kind of got off their transport and enter as infantry. And but I'm OCD. It's OCD. I've got to get some push bikes and cavalry painted, and then on top of that, on my list of stuff that I eventually want for the Germans is a Panzer 1, Panzer 2, 35T and 38T. I don't actually need them now, but I'm tempted to get a couple of Panzer 1s or something just to add to the list. and on trains. Roads, I don't actually need roads because I've got, you know, the rails acting as the road barriers. But, you know, I might want to get some roads at some point. And then there's various other things that that would be ideal. I don't actually need yet, but, you know, I'm tempted. You know, some kind of barn, some kind of orchard base, a pond, a kind of a larger base for the marshy things, and a wood space. So I don't know, you know, how urgent they are. I'd say not very urgent, but there's optional lists stuff. So there's optional terrain, optional German tanks, and then apart from that, there's a bunch of stuff that I've already got that wants painting that the Poles can use. They're British, but the Poles can use them. And there's these tanks. I mean, it's stupid, really, getting all these, you know, FG-17. Is this a good idea? No, but I just like them. I just like the overall stuff, and I want, you know, one or two of the different kinds. So I've got a lot of stuff now. So, yes, so the next thing to get is the aircraft models, painting up some of these things, get a field gun. I'm tempted to get one of the Polish ones, but whatever. So yeah, a field gun, some tanks, Polish tanks, painting up some German stuff, painting up some of those British stuff, and maybe some more train at some point. Yeah, so that's it. So that's a long old ramble, but I'm gradually getting there. And, you know, it ticks the boxes. One, it's quite fun to do as a game, but it also gives me the excuse to do all the things I wanted to do for messing about. You know, the train stuff and painting up all these mad little tanks from early war. So anyway, ramble. I don't know if that's entertaining to anyone, but it's done now. Okay, 2 of it.